Welcome back to Ultimate Combat Radio. Mike Stidham here, talking some mixed martial arts on 1280 The Zone. I forgot to mention last segment that Ginger had a birthday. That Carter Ulibarri is the guy we bought the tap out watch for, and I just wanted to wish him happy birthday. I told him I went over there, and I totally forgot about it. So there you go, my man. Robert, Tina, what if somebody wanted to call in and tell us talk about Utah MMA Mount Rushmore?
They can call us at 470-570 or 670-1280 or text us at 53318. Text in zone and your picks.
I think
texting's not going to help because I don't even have it up on the screen.
I think it's a lot fun. I think it's a lot funnier when you ask Kaiser that question.
I got a little rant I've got to get off my chest. We haven't had a Colbert report in a little while.
You don't have little rants.
This one's going to be a little one. I'm going to keep it real short. The commission, we talked about them recently having, they passed a rule that if you lose X amount of fights, you lose your license. And we complained about that. You know, they have Mike Chrisman one week telling them they're going to take their license away, and then the very next week they have him fighting Mike Arant. You know, where's the consistency there? I don't get it. Brad McRae, they approve a match with him and Steve Sharp, and then the very next week they take his license away because he's losing too many fights. How are you justifying approving matchups with guys that with the top level fighters in the state, and then the next week telling them you're not good enough to fight anyone? So I kind of let that issue drop by the wayside until I saw this last week that Chago, Juan Pollock. Now back me up on this, Brandon. Chago's a guy that he was literally, in my mind, the standard bearer for kickboxing for years. I mean, for the first several years that we were even doing fights, this is a guy that he would fight anybody.
Oh, my gosh. He would fight anybody. He fought people 20, 30 pounds bigger than him. And, you know, if the commission's perspective on this is to protect the fighter, which is usually their go-to thing for all the dumb things that they do. Yeah. The guy did 30 kickboxing matches, went the distance in every one of them, and never got hurt once. I mean, he's one of those guys that is just super durable. So I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
And he's iconic in my mind because you think back over the years of the Steve Sharps and the Brandon Melendez, but I think you throw Chago in there because he
absolutely he beat Brandon Melendez, knocked Melendez out, broke his arm with a kick, went 3 rounds with Mickey Jangiera back in the day, one of the best kickboxers in the valley. I mean, I don't know.
And they took his license away. You know, and what really bothers me about this is, look, if you as a commission want to scrutinize a guy's matchup, say he's lost 8 fights in a row, scrutinize who he fights. Say, look, man, let's sit down and you tell me why this is a good matchup. You tell me why we should be able to have these guys fighting each other. But to take their licenses away, and Chago's not a guy that has any aspirations of fighting in the UFC. Has no aspirations of being a world champion. He fights because he loves it. And he does it well. And to take his license away is a travesty.
How can they take his license away but still let Tim Lund fight?
Amen.
Tim Lund ought to be in a padded room somewhere. I mean,
he's got 2 wins and who knows how many losses.
And those wins were when he closed his eye and somebody ran into his fist. Let's be honest about it.
Or when that other dude took that fall, that dive.
Yeah. So it's just amazing to me that they can't see. It's all black and white, and this is what really bothers me. That Bill Colbert would let Mike Chrisman fight Chuck Liddell because they have similar amount of fights. On paper, it makes sense. He can't look at the quality of opponents or anything like that. It doesn't even really look at wins and losses. If you've got 10 bouts and that guy's got 10 bouts, then it's a good fight. So I have ranted enough. And so
3 minutes. You did good.
All right. Well, that's it. And I had a lot more to say about it, and I've got a lot, and I'll share it on our Facebook page. So, and I've really just getting started on it because it's so frustrating. So, the poll question: who is your Utah MMA Mount Rushmore Joe Steven?
All right. So I haven't been around this, involved as long as you guys have.
Right, and that's why I like your perspective is going to be different than ours.
So, I don't know the Walt Bayless and the Pedro Sowers, but I made a list, and these are just the ones that I've noticed. So, obviously Mike Stidham, because who hasn't been, changing the channel on a Sunday afternoon and came across the Ultimate Combat Experience, even before
nobody anymore. Bill Colbert.
But I mean,
that.
back years ago, before I even followed fights, you could come across the Ultimate Combat Experience. You
Right.
knew who you were, who the show was. Anybody that knows anything about MMA in Utah knows what the Ultimate Combat Experience is. And if they fought, they most likely have fought in the UCE. So Mike Stidham, you got to put Josh Berkman on there because, like you said, first one to make it.
Yeah.
And same thing with the UCE. If you watched one episode of the UCE,
You knew Josh.
Josh Berkman.
Yeah, and he's the people's warrior. So how do you not?
And
put
I got
the
that right
people's
here.
warrior?
Yeah. He was the people's warrior, and everybody knew that. And still, if somebody finds out I'm a fighter, you know Josh Berkman.
Yeah, I love
The
that.
people just drop his name
I get
all the
that
time.
all the time.
I had to put Core McGee on there.
Okay.
Just because he's an inspiration and
He is.
he's great for the sport.
Great representative, absolutely.
And then
he's like putting Abe Lincoln on there, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't the greatest president, but he was a good quality character guy.
is that a reference to his beard?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
And then you know what? I put Brandon Kaiser on there, and this is why he has a gym that puts out the most respectful fighters, good quality fighters, and I think that his, and I got to throw Yamasaki in there too because it's not.
It's kind of a duel. It's
team,
kind of a
yeah.
two-headed snake.
and he's I think his gym is the future of all of the sport. I think that he's going to have the fighters for years to come that are going to
When I saw that, I like, you know what? You can't argue it. And, and you try not to pat your own back around here, and we try not to, kind of make it seem like we're a rah-rah for each other here. But you have to admit, I mean, not only the quality, and their fighters are always so technically sound, but they're always so well-mannered. And these are guys that you got to admit, Sterling Natsuma is not by nature a well-mannered guy. You know what I mean?
I do.
But he is whenever he is representing that gym, he is representing that gym in a good way.
And what I like the most is when there's a Mushin guy around because they bow in, they bow out everywhere every time they step on the mat. They're just
Joe.
super respectful.
I'm taking you to dinner tonight, man.
And I had Yamasaki has a big part to do with that, and I don't want him to feel left out. But I can only put 4 people on there, and you're a lot better looking than him.
Put the
thank
two-headed
you.
snake on there.
Man, I'll tell you what, I am going to Facebook the YouTube video that Aztec Highway is producing of this show. The minute it hits the scene.
I got to tell you, Brandon, too, that, I had a conversation with Aztec Highway Chris just the other day about how, you guys put your product in over in a store and they're selling very well. And I said, that's because Brandon's people support. If you tell Brandon's people that, hey, we got something going on over here, they'll be there. And if we're selling this over, they'll go buy it. And that's because they love, it's that affinity that they have for these guys because they're just incredible guys.
Yeah.
Break time.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, man, we got break time already. We got to get a Robertina in here real quick. Robertina, what's your...
If I'm not on your list, just don't even bother, Robertina.
My list is the best. Mike Stidham, Joe Martinez, Brian Kaiser, and Meeks were the best MMA radio show ever.
Wow.
Done.
I like it.
How are you going to argue with
And break time.
that? All right. Well, speaking of break time, we didn't get to Kyle Herrera, which means we're going to have so much extra time to talk to him when we come back.